I want to go to UVA Center for Politics, Larry Sabato. And Larry, I know I'm going to tick a lot of people right from the get-go saying this, but whatever you think about the Russia investigation, the timing of that, the indictment, all of that, this particular weekend near this particular locale was not the time to do it. Not the time at all. Your thoughts?
You're 100% correct, Neil. Look, they should have gotten him out to the golf course sooner on Sunday. That would be my suggestion. And I'll bet most of the staff aides agree with me privately. They wouldn't say it publicly. These tweets, for the most part, were not helpful to his cause and were not helpful to the country. He shouldn't have dwelt on subjects other than the tragic situation in Parkland. He should have focused on that. He did some things, of course, when he first got to Florida, visiting the hospital and talking to the EMT people and all the rest. But this was something to dwell on because, unlike some of the other mass shootings, this has riveted the country mainly because of these young people and how articulate and eloquent they are.
And they called him out with tweets of their own, some of which I can't repeat. But having said that, I think you're quite right. He started off very well on Friday with this and all, but I thought anything else, whether it was legitimately expressed or not, whether the rage he feels at the FBI and whether it's distracted and that produced this or not, just keep it to yourself. Now was not the time to do that or feed this anxiety. It makes it look like you were making this all about you.
Well, that's exactly what he did. Those tweets were all about him for the most part, few exceptions, but that's the way he often does things, and this was exactly the wrong moment to make it all about him. And aside from that, Neil, and we've talked about this before, no matter what he may think about some in the FBI, he is banging on the FBI entirely too much. Every president needs the FBI and the CIA and the NSA. The intelligence agencies and the law enforcement agencies are domestic bulwark against many of the threats we face. And he needs to lay off some of this regarding the FBI. If there are individuals in there who are biased and causing problems, they can be dealt with administratively. But he needs to get off this track, and he keeps returning to it, and it doesn't help him.
You know, there are a number of people who are very angry, including, I'm sure, 17 sets of parents who've lost their children as a result of this miscommunicated or just not properly, ferreted out FBI interview with someone who knew and was worried about this shooter. Why couldn't a surrogate or someone like that have expressed the obvious thing? Okay, the FBI botched this one. Why do you, as President of the United States, have to go there? There's no need to do it.
Well, there's not only no need to do it, but you should focus on the narrow problem, which is somebody in the system, maybe a few somebodies dropped the ball. I'll bet you right now it was one somebody who dropped the ball. And by the way, some of the Florida social services people did the same thing.
No, there are a lot of people who dropped the ball, and there are a lot of people, to that point, Larry, who you could obviously figure in and say, all right, we've got to get to the bottom of this. But I just think, appearances mean a lot more than I think most people appreciate at a time like this. And for a president who has to play the role, which he effectively did on Friday for a while with his speech earlier in the week about being a consoler in chief, helping people out through a crisis, whether people like you or not, whether it's politically popular or not, that this is another level that sadly, as you and I have discussed, we've required of our presidents, because this stuff does happen a lot.
It does, and it unfortunately will happen again. President Trump has not yet settled into that role of comforter-in-chief. And as you just noted, every president has to do that. They have to master that role. It's not easy. And sometimes you have to dwell on it for a while. You can't simply do an event or two on one day and then move along or twist the tragedy to benefit you and whatever your current political disputes and conflicts are right now.
Well, he hopes to make this right, Professor, by saying, not that he feels that he's done wrong here, but meeting with Florida teachers and students on Wednesday. We don't know which teachers, which students. We don't know whether they'll include those who've been critical of him. But that might be an important first step. How do you think that will go?
I hope it goes well. Of course, as you say, it depends on who's included. My suggestion to those students, and I'm very impressed by them, and boy, they're terrific. They're a lot better than certainly young people were in my day, and definitely better than they were in your day.
There'll be enough
Neil,
out of you. Go ahead.
No, there you go. But seriously, I think it's important to have a civil dialogue. And my suggestion to some of the students, if they're listening and they're included, be civil. All right? No obscenities. No blanket statements. Be civil. Have a real dialogue. This is a great opportunity to make change.
Absolutely. And a lot of those kids are angry at everybody. They're saying we're tired of this. So it isn't directed at one individual or party. And all this is a rare opportunity where he could address that. We shall see. Professor, thank you very, very much.